Hello and welcome, I'm LinkingX2 and today in our series of ways to improve in League we talk about Minionwaves. I have here 3 easy tips for wave manipulation. So yeah, my personal mechanics are not too great and I also don't like the risk a mechanical outplay entails. I personally though use wave manipulation to get leads and then just beat the opponent down with my gold advantage. So before we get into the tips today, please note this again depends on your champ. If you play Irelia or a more scaling champ, tanks, this works super fine. But yeah, if you have the onus on yourself to push early leads, you still want to pay attention here so that the enemy is not using these strategies on you. So starting up with the burst strategy, it entails getting pushed early. So early wave clear is not too great for nearly all champions, so they won't be able to super hard push you into the turret with the first 2 waves, but it will just move the crash point, that is the point where the 2 minion waves meet, forward into your half of the lane. If the wave has entered said point, you then just have to hold the wave there, which is freezing the wave. So how do you do that? So the enemy wave has to always have to be a bit larger than your wave. So on screen I am showing an image of the roughly minion advantage the enemy needs. But note, if the enemy wave is too large, you can't hold it in place. So you probably have to thin out the wave to get the minion number about right. I would recommend killing the melee minions first, as they are tankier, so if you need to adapt the wave state appropriately, you can do it faster because the caster minions are easier to kill, and also in many cases, if you move up to kill the caster minions, you might get bombed on the head from the enemy. So that's about it. Simple enough, right? So if you focus on last hitting the wave, should stay in that position. A few tips here, so if the enemy is pushing harder, then you also have to match him in push, at least somewhat, or if you can't match him, then you may have to tank the wave for a bit. In terms of tanking the wave, in the really early game, minions do a shit ton of damage, so really be careful when you do that, as if you lose too much HP, the enemy can then capitalize on that. So you have to be careful if you tank the minion wave. So just a few for a bit is fine, but you can tank 1.5 waves at level 2. So you might ask yourself, why would you do this? So first of all, you're a lot safer. You are closer to your turret and the minion waves come into you, so you don't have to move forward. And on the opposite end, the contrary is true for your opponent. He has to overextend constantly in lane to get farm and XP, which makes him not only uncomfortable and also super vulnerable for your jungler or yourself if you're strong enough to punish him. So if we use this strategy now and got in the wave into a nice spot, we look at our gold, we may want to recall at some point. So what do? If we just go now, we will miss a ton of minions, and unless the enemy is also recalling, we can just leave the wave here, as it will hard crash into your turret and then push back towards them. You can think of minion waves like a yo-yo or a pendulum. If one wave hits a turret, it will return in the opposite direction. And as we already established, we want the wave in our half of the lane, so we can't just handshake such a play. Coming to the solution of this problem, you need to build up a wave yourself, aka a slow push. First of all, if you mess up your freeze, you will slow push automatically, so you might already have done so in a game before. A slow push means you gather up more and more minions on your side and then with a huge amount of minions push it hard into the enemy turret. This is done to recall, roam or get turret plates. To do this, we have to start pushing, but slow. And as simple as that sounds, that's also it. You have to push a bit harder than the opponent, but again, we are not looking for a hard shove directly. A problem that might arise if you're a bit careless. So pushing the wave into the enemy turret is our plan, but you have to make sure that it fully goes into the turret. Otherwise, the enemy might use this minion advantage to freeze for themselves. Also, while doing so, you are moving into the enemy side of the lane, so you're overextending there. So for that, you need wards or a teammate near you. So this is a way you can play the lane with nearly no interaction with your opponent and accumulate leads in gold and XP over time. If you feel powerful enough, you can begin to zone the enemy from the minion wave. Just walk up when he tries to last hit or stand between him and his wave. So how hard you can zone of course depends on a multitude of aspects, but you want to use your pressure at least somewhat, right? Move up a little bit. And of course, yeah, if he steps too close or just at all missteps, you can kill him and punish him, and then, yeah, push the wave into his turret, make him miss even more CS. Finally, I want to share a really neat little trick that is talked about so often, but sadly no one really does it or knows how to pull it off correctly. That's the cheater recall on wave 3. So how do you do this? You slow push wave 1 and 2 and hard push one wave, yeah, the third wave, and then you recall. Yeah, the nice benefit of this is you don't need to TP to lane. Simple enough. But what do you need to look out for? For the first 2 waves, try to get the wave a bit forward into the enemy half. To do so, you need to last hit a tiny bit earlier than the enemy, and in terms of last hits, yeah, to secure a mini freeze like slow push, yeah, you should also match the last hit timer of your enemy, so that both waves are on similar volume till the third wave makes it to lane. Lastly, you want to super hard push the third wave. And remember, into the turret. Again, we don't want to get the wave frozen on us, and to push, use your spells, continuously auto attack, just get that wave into the turret. Note, this only works if you have at least some pressure in lane, or if the champs are on somewhat even power level early on. You also need some tools to push. So for example, a Fiora absolutely can't do this into a Jace, right? You don't have the early power, you don't have the push power, yeah, you can't do this. But for example, like a Cho'Gath could do this into a Sion if he plays the lane correctly. And if you don't know the advantage of this strategy, as mentioned, you don't need to use TP to get back into lane. As explained earlier, if a wave hits the turret, it will bounce back. So after the push on wave 3, wave 4 and wave 5 will come back into you. Next, the obvious item advantage from your recall. So you can get an early cull, or in some cases a tier or a Dorans. You can just get an item and a stat advantage for free with this. And not only that, the wave that comes back into you are already stacked. Means you can implement the already mentioned strategies of freezing to further build up your lead. So these tips, there were quite a bit. I hope my explanation was clear. If not, ask away in the comments. If you have never thought about waves and never tried some wave manipulations in your game, you might not be able to pull this off from the get-go, so a custom or a practice tool game might be helpful. But if you can implement this into your playstyle a bit, you will be able to get more minions safer, and as we already talked about in the last week's episode, CS advantages will lead to huge gold leads over time. I wish you all the best of luck in the Rift. Until next time, stay safe, bye.